Hey guys, how's it going? So today I want to try something new, and you'll have to let me know if you like it, but I thought it would be a good idea to do a weekly review of our videos. So every Monday just film a quick video just talking about the past week's videos, because we typically post between 5 and 7 videos every week, and I wish it was possible for us to go through the whole comment section and answer all the questions, but I do notice that there's usually a common question being asked a lot, and so I thought this would be a good opportunity to answer those questions. Also, sometimes I watch videos back and I realize I've forgotten to say something that I really wanted to say, and you can't edit videos after you've posted them, so a lot of times I'm kicking myself afterward being like, oh, I wish I would have talked about that or whatever. And then a lot of times you guys leave great suggestions in the comment section, so I'll do a project one way, and there are multiple ways to do every single project, and somebody will say, you know, it'd be a lot easier if you did it this way, and I think, yeah, duh. Of course it would be easier to do it that way. I wish I would have known. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to bring those things to light and just discuss things, because I think we can learn from each other, and I hope that you like this. So I'm just gonna jump right into the videos of last week. The first one was a plant unboxing from Little Prince of Oregon, and that was a really fun one for me because we haven't done a plant unboxing in a long time. I didn't really know about the company. I didn't know what plants they grew or specialized in. I also didn't know what they were sending, so it was a complete surprise to me what came out of that box, and you guys crashed the website. I didn't realize, I don't think they realized how many people, how many of you guys would want to go check out their plants, but of course, I mean, we're all plant lovers, and if you see all these beautiful plants coming out of this box, you want to go see what else they have to offer and what other kind of unusual varieties they have. So anyway, they had to have 3 employees work all kinds of odd hours to like fix the situation, get their website back up and running, and I did want to mention that there are 2 websites, so it was a little bit confusing. There's Little Prince of Oregon. I have my laptop up with some screenshots of stuff. And there are like things going on around me right now. There's like a truck backing up at a neighbor's house, and my chickens are going nuts. I think one of them is laying an egg, so you'll have to pardon the noise around me. But anyway, there's Little Prince of Oregon, which is their wholesale website, and then there's littleprinceplants.com, and that's the one that you can order plants online from. And I do believe that they're offering a 20% discount right now if you use the code GardenAnswer. So anyway, littleprinceplants.com. The second video was the landscape makeover number 6, where we placed rocks in the smaller city size lot that we've been working on throughout the summer, and that was a really fun one. I did not talk about in the video how we were not done. So we are gonna settle those rocks down into the ground. The thing is that I thought about digging up the areas where I wanted the rocks before they arrived, but I had no idea where I wanted to place anything. I just am so visual, and I don't usually place boulders in landscapes, that I just wanted to kind of see them there and place them as I don't know, as it looked good to me. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna tip the rocks back, and we're gonna kind of excavate underneath them and remove some of the soil, and then just kind of roll them back in place and kind of shift them into position so they look a little sunken into the ground, because right now they are sitting on top of the soil and it doesn't look as natural. So we are gonna do that. I do think we put one little line in there, but I just didn't really discuss it. And we are gonna add like maybe 2 more rocks, maybe a couple into the front flower beds, but we haven't really started planting up there. And right now they do look like they're sticking out a little bit just because it's a brand new landscape. The plants aren't mature, they're not grown, and we haven't planted anything really around them yet. And we do plan on doing some ground covers and grasses and things like that to kind of hug the rocks, so they'll look a little bit more incorporated. It's all a process. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. Next video was 5 plants for winter interest. So Nancy said, love the first 2 little shrubs. Do you wrap them in the winter? So those were the arborvitas, the Fluffy and the Anna's Magic Ball. And I don't ever wrap evergreens here. I know that like in Michigan on Mackinac Island, I think that they wrap all of their arborvitas. In fact, that was the first time I even learned that people do that. And I suppose in areas where you get like really bad ice or like really steady, like heavy snowfall, it's probably a good idea to do that so they maintain their shape. But you know, we planted our line of arborvitas against our west side fence, and then the next winter we had 52 inches of snow, and not one of our arborvitas got misshapen. So I mean, we were pretty diligent about looking at them, and I think Erin went out with a broom and kind of knocked some of the snow off of some of them. So I think I don't know, as long as you do that, you'll probably be okay, but we don't typically wrap them. Do you have to pay Russell to make appearances in your videos? I'm glad we don't have to. He is so social. He wants to be involved in everything that we're doing all the time. So it's actually kind of perfect because he'll just come find us when we're doing projects, and wherever he's at, that's where he naturally wants to be. I don't ever stage him in videos, ever. Next was, does it worry you to plant the berry poppins in your garden with Benjamin used to picking strawberries and tomatoes, and also with Russell and Cheddar playing in the garden? Love the look of them though. So berry poppins are a type of winterberry holly, which the berries are toxic to animals. I didn't see anything about them being toxic to humans, but I imagine if they're toxic to animals, they're probably not something that you want to eat. And I do have some other things in the garden that are not really great, like I wouldn't want Benjamin to be eating, but I can't bubble wrap his life. Like, I can't protect him from everything all the time, and I don't really want to. I don't think that's healthy. So, you know, and also we don't have a garden that's like contained. I don't have a garden where I'll just let him go out and roam, because we don't have a fence that will keep either neighbor dogs out, which some of them may or may not be friendly, I don't know, and then the fence won't keep Benjamin in either. So there's always an adult by him right now because he's just too young. We don't let him wander very far. So if he did attempt to eat a berry, we would know right away, and he would learn a lesson from that. And I think that that's better than trying to protect him from everything all the time. So I guess in short, I don't worry about planting the winterberry hollies. I want to enjoy their beauty. I want Benjamin to grow up learning about different plants, and I think the only way you can learn about those things is by having them around you. So. Next video is planting limetta hydrangeas, which I planted 5 of them in our kitchen flower bed, and I love them there. I love them. Every time I walk by, I'm like, yep, that was the right choice. I love when that happens in the garden because it doesn't always happen. But the question was, how do you deal with raking or blowing leaves when you have a fine mulch down? So I use our DeWalt battery operated blower as a rake because you can kind of gauge how much air you want to come out, and you can just do a really light like touch on the what is it, trigger, and it'll blow most everything away without disrupting your mulch. And then I take a rake and I use a couple different ones. So there's a rake that has very fine tines. It's collapsible. I think it's made by Bond, and you can make it small to go around the base of plants and make it wide for larger areas, but it does a really good job not picking up a ton of mulch. It'll pick up some. There's no possible way to not, you know, disrupt some of your mulch. And then Fiskars has a shrub rake that I use not just on shrubs but also in flower beds. It's plastic and it's really flexible, like it kind of bounces on the ground, and it's really soft at everything. Like, it doesn't hurt my plants. I can run it over shrubs or perennials or whatever, and it just like picks up debris without, you know, hurting your plants or your mulch. I thought we were doing black mulch. I bought black mulch and love the look, but now you have red. So we actually don't have red mulch. I know it looks like that sometimes in the camera, depending on the lighting. It's actually brown, and it's just a shredded bark mulch. It's natural with no dyes in it. We have used black mulch a few times in projects. I've used it around here. The thing is, we tried a ton of different mulches this year. We were just trying out what we liked the best, what we felt the best about. And while the black mulch does look nice, it does have dye in it, and I don't really feel like that's something I want to continually add to my garden space. It is pretty, you know, and it doesn't fade very fast, which is nice, but you know, you've got to kind of weigh your pros and cons. So now we've kind of switched to this natural, just shredded bark mulch. It's a little bit more of a bark rather than like a finely ground, but it also doesn't have as bad as slivers, so I like that as well. I love how you roll through those unexpected garden issues so easily. I'm glad it looks easy. It's not always easy, and thank you for taking us with you through your pipe fixing tutorial. I break pipes like nobody's business. I don't know what the deal is, but I always find pipes to break. Those hydrangeas are huge. Where do you get them so large? So because we work with proven winners a lot and my parents have a garden center, I am in a pretty good position to get my hands on some pretty nice looking plants, but that's not always the case. Sometimes I hang on to plants for months. We have a cold frame here on our property that we built the very first year we were here. It's the best thing we've done thus far on our property in terms of practicality, because I can keep stuff in there, I can baby it until it looks amazing, and then we'll do a video on it. So sometimes I will even overwinter stuff in there and then we'll do a video on it the next year. But typically, like when we do videos, I don't want to do a video with just a, you know, crummy looking plant. I want it to look beautiful so you guys can see what this plant's potential is. Like, I want you to see it at its best. The next video is where I planted an oak leaf hydrangea and Japanese maple at our church, and there was a really good thought or question. What about radiant heat off of metal sidings or metal surroundings? Burn effect on your plants? I didn't really even think about that. until you ask that question. But I think that the plants will be okay because they're not getting sun all day long. They're not getting like really intense sun. I think they'll be fine. Of course, we'll be keeping our eyes on everything to make sure everything, you know, looks good all the time, because sometimes it is a problem and you do have to move things. But that is something to consider. If you're planting up next to a metal building or any kind of building, you know, if it's gonna get hot, intense afternoon sun all day, you wanna consider that and plant stuff that will work there. Next was, where do you get your trees? I had such a hard time finding a mature Japanese maple. It can be hard at times. I usually get all of my trees at my parents' garden center. I'd say like 99.9% of them I get there. This Japanese maple I used in this video I actually got from Home Depot because the garden center didn't have exactly kind of what I was looking for, and Home Depot happened to have it. And you know, it's just not possible for every garden center to have everything all the time. So, you know, if you're looking for something specific, you know, definitely check with your local garden center first. That's what I will always say. But, you know, check around. Sometimes you have to fill in the gaps from somewhere else. I know you're sharing about the new plants, but how could you bear to work alongside that clump of grass with all the dead blades? I kind of had a hard time with that, like, I'm not gonna lie. That grass is soon to be cut back for the winter, so it'll come back fresh and new. They just did a bunch of construction there though, and so that poor plant got battered and it's looking a little bit sad, but next year it'll look a lot better. It's possible it may need to move. It may not get quite enough sun there, so that's something that they'll be watching. But I know it is hard to see these beautiful, like that beautiful oak leaf hydrangea and then this like crummy looking grass right next to it. And then the last video was the pink Gomphrena wreath that I made from Gomphrena in our yard, and that was called Truffula Pink Gomphrena. In one of your videos, you and Aaron said they're stinky. Does that odor dissipate when dried? So I didn't notice the odor, not nearly as bad when the Gomphrena was in a smaller quantity, in the wreath quantity, as opposed to walking in front of our front porch where I planted a ton of them. I could smell it up there still, especially when it's warm outside, but when that wreath was like away from that area, I can smell it very faintly if I put my nose right up to it, but I can't smell it like just in general, like when we walk by it. So I think we're okay there. Do you need to spray some kind of preservative on them after they dry out? I'm sure there is one. I didn't even think about mentioning it in the video. A lot of people say to spray hairspray on it. I suppose that would keep, you know, dried flowers in place and like from falling apart. I find that if you harvest that Gomphrena early enough when the flowers are fresh, they kind of dry a little bit stronger than they do when they're an older flower. And the older flowers were the ones that were kind of falling apart during the video, and I plucked most of those out, so I think the wreath will be okay, but I might try the hairspray thing. And the last thing I wanted to mention about that wreath was how many Gomphrena plants you would need to plant in order to make that wreath. And I would say that anywhere from 7 to 10 Gomphrena at full size, like this time of year, after you've let them grow and bloom like crazy, I think that 7 to 10 would be a perfect amount. Probably closer to 10 would give you a little bit more flex. But if you wanted to even plant fewer than that, you could do that and just harvest the flowers gradually and just build your wreath gradually. Like if you have room to set your wreath form somewhere and just add a few bundles here and there at a little bit at a time as the season progresses, you could certainly do that if you only have room for like 3 or 4 plants. So just depends on how you want to do it. So that's it, you guys. That is this week's review. I hope it was helpful just to have me address some of those questions and talk about some of the things. And I'm hoping that by doing this, that those questions don't get kind of lost in the mix, because I know it's like months between Q&A videos. That's my chicken must have just laid an egg. How funny. Yeah, so it can be months between Q&A videos, and I know a lot of questions get lost, and I know it's something that we're kind of weak at. I really wish that we had like the kind of time that it would take to go through the comment section and answer everybody's questions, because I do appreciate all of them. I appreciate all of your comments and questions. We read all of them. It's just finding the time to actually address all of them that is our problem, and it's because we put out a lot of videos and we don't have a huge staff of people that can answer, and I honestly don't want that. Like, I want to be able to answer your questions. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.